So guys, it is another beautiful day and I've got myself another project car which I'll be rebuilding, and this time it's a Mercedes CLA35 AMG. I've only paid a fraction of the original price, and I think you can see why that is. There is some suspension damage, we'll get into that later on. But right off the bat you can see it's quite badly damaged on the passenger side. There is some damage on the lower front end, but I think there is no radiator damage because there's still cooling in it. And if you move on the driver's side, you can see there's a lot more damage on this side than there was on the passenger side. So the headlight gone again, the wing, the bonnet, the bumper, but luckily there's no suspension damage as we can see. But there is some really badly damaged doors, and there may be some suspension damage on the rear end. And other than that, there's some damage on the tailgate, the bumper, and obviously the tail light. And guys, luckily for us this time there is no interior damage, as you can see. So no airbags are deployed, seat belts or curtain airbags, even though it's been damaged quite badly on the side, as you can see, and at the front as well. So this car is 4MATIC, which means it's 4-wheel drive in Mercedes terms. It's got drive shafts at the front and drive shafts at the rear. And this passenger side front drive shaft has been ripped off during the crash, so it doesn't let the car drive or move, even though it's got 3 other drive shafts. And I do already have the suspension parts for this car, and by the end of this video I want to make this car actually move by itself. And in this video I'll be dismantling the front end of this car, get all the damaged parts off, and hopefully I don't come across any hidden damages such as chassis damage and any wing damage. It is a category S, but that does not necessarily mean it's frame damage. There is suspension damage that could count as a category S, but yeah, let's get all these parts off, then we'll go from there. Okay, for those who don't know what Cat S means, I'll now explain. So in the UK, if someone gets in an accident, the insurance company will make a decision whether or not it's financially viable to repair the vehicle, or they'll just write it off. And there are 4 categories, starting with category A, which is a very damaged car and they most likely go straight to the scrapyard. Then there's category B, and this is only sold to the licensed car breakers where they sell the salvage parts. So Cat A and Cat B are never allowed back on the road. And now we get to the categories that are allowed to go back on the road. First is category N, which is a non-structural damage and can be repaired by bolt-off, bolt-on method. And then there's category S, which is structural damage and can be repaired by cutting the damaged structural parts out and weld new one on, like we previously did on the BMW M4. And by the way, feel free to go and check that video out. And guys, with the bumper off, now you can see the extent of damage here. We can see the slant panel is damaged, it's been ripped off from there. And good news is that there is no damage to the reinforcement bar, which means there is no frame damage, which is a great news. And also, look how sad this car looks. It looks absolutely devastated. So anyways, we're gonna continue getting all the damaged parts off, including the slant panel and the headlights. So first I got the headlights out of the way since they were only held on by the wiring plugs. Then I continued to remove the bonnet cable and bonnet catch. I undo the bolts on both sides, and off comes the slant panel. Right guys, upon the first inspection I did say there is no frame damage in this car, which is actually true because both of the frame arms are nice and straight. But what I didn't see was the inner wing. Now that I've taken the slant panel off, I can see why this car is category S. The inner wing, this part is slightly bent. And let me show you the good side. What it's supposed to look like, nice and straight like this here. But on this side, there's a slight dent in there, so that means the inner wing has been pushed in slightly towards the engine. So it shouldn't be a big deal, but now I do see why it's a category S. So I've taken everything off the front end. As you can see, it's all there. Now I'll move on to the wings or fenders if you're American. And the two other bits that I noticed were damaged is this windscreen washer bottle, which is cracked from the top. And the other bit is this radiator support bracket from the bottom. You can see it's bent slightly. But the good thing is it hasn't damaged the radiator. I know that because it's still got coolant in the reservoir. And other than that, yeah, it's all sound. And now I'll go ahead and remove the wings and also to see if there's anything else that's damaged under the wing. So to remove the wing, I first undo the bolts from the top and sides, which were the easy part. Then I get to the tricky part where I had to partially remove the side skirt to get to the remaining two bolts. I removed them and out with the wing. I then continue to carry out the same procedure on the driver's side and remove the wing. There it is, guys. I've taken both of the wings off, and the only damage I can see here are done to these little brackets that hold the wing in place. And same story goes on the passenger side. Damage to this bracket, but no damage to the inner wing. Guys, I've also noticed that the pedestrian protection sensors are gone in this car as well. So what that is, basically, if the car hits a pedestrian, the rear end of the bonnet gets raised up slightly. So there's a slight gap between the bonnet and the engine. And if the pedestrian hit the head onto the bonnet, they don't actually hit the engine with the head. For pedestrian safety system, I guess. And I'm going to get them ordered. And now I'm going to move on to the suspension. Hopefully get this car drivable. And for now, I'm going to leave the doors as is because I don't have replacement doors just yet. I now move on to removing the damaged suspension parts. I start off by jacking the car up and removing the wheel. And guys, here are the real damages on this car. So the draft shaft has been ripped off, the wishbone has been broken in half, and also the steering rod, as you can see, it's been completely snapped off. So yeah, let's get all the damaged parts off and fit the new ones on. So first I get the arch liner out of the way. Then I remove the lower reinforcement arm to get access to the wishbone bolt. I remove that along with some more bolts at the bottom and one more bolt holding the wishbone to the wheel hub. And after some struggling, I get both pieces out. I then remove the remaining of the steering tie rod and finally move on to the drive shaft, where I remove most of it, but there's still a piece of it stuck in the gearbox. Guys, it's such a mess in there, it's all greased up, so I could not get that piece of the drive shaft out. I tried everything, and the only option left right now is to get the under tray off and see if I can pry it out from the underneath. Guys, and all that just because of this. It did not have to be that tricky to remove, but we did finally got it off. And now the new parts go on, starting with the wishbone. Then in goes the replacement drive shaft. We then installed the new steering tie rod. And lastly, I put the tire back on and dropped the car on the floor. Okay guys, I've replaced all the suspension parts and dropped it on 4 wheels. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start the car and see if it actually drives. I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't drive, but still. There it is, guys. The car is finally drivable, and I'm so glad that it is, because it was such a mission all by its own to get this car moved around. So guys, first of all, I need to get the damaged doors out, install the new ones. That's because if I want to align the wing, I'll need the doors in place. So yeah, let's replace the doors and we'll move on to the rest of the front end. And to get the doors off is quite straightforward. All I have to do is undo this bolt here for the door strap, slightly loosen these bolts for the hinges, and finally get the plug out, and then we can easily lift the door out. And same story goes to the rear door as well. And guys, there's a slight problem here. So I took this cover off for the wiring, and there don't seem to be a plug anywhere here. It is somewhere down there, there should be. So what we'll do, get this plastic trim off, and there should be some sort of plug down there, and I'm gonna unplug it and get the door off. Here it is, guys. I found the door wiring plug, and I don't know why this manufacturer do this. They could have just put a plug in there. Easy for me, easy for them. And I didn't even need to have to get this plastic trim off to get to the plugs. So I unplugged the wiring and lifted the door off the car. Then I continued to the rear door, where I carried out the same procedure and removed the door off the car. Right guys, I've taken the damaged doors off, and I can see there's no damage to the sills, which is a good news. And visually I can also see that there's no damage to the hinges, but we'll soon find that out for sure when we put the doors back on. So let's get the doors on. And I'm so glad the damage isn't too deep into the side, and it's just the doors that need replacing, because if the hinges or the sills were damaged, then it would have been a whole different story. Guys, and now we're gonna shut the doors and see what the lining's like. And I can already see it just looks almost perfect, to be honest. This one's slightly raised, I can adjust that, no problem. And this one right here looks straight out of factory. It's flush and the gap is perfect as well. Also ignore the bottom bit because I've partially removed the side skirt, and I'm only gonna line that up when I put the wing back on. So let's get that adjusted, and then we can move on to the front end. And now to adjust this door, all I have to do, guys, I need to loosen this bolt up for the door catch, just slightly. The first one and the second one. And now, just tap it in with a hammer, slightly. I think that should be enough. And tie it back up. And this hopefully should do the job. Now let's shut the door and see. Right, I don't know if you guys can see, but that is flush. That is straight from the factory as well now. Looks perfect. Now that's done, and we can now move on to the wing. So yeah, let's get the wings on. Then we're gonna go ahead and put the bonnet on, the bumper and everything else afterwards. But before we can get the wings on, first I'll need to fix this wing bracket. And then also I'll need to get my trusty measuring tape and measure the inner wing from that corner to this strut bolt here. And do the same thing on the gut side, measure from this corner to that strut bolt up there. And my goal is to get exact same measurements on both sides, and if I do, then that means the inner wing hasn't been pushed in. And I'm saying this because earlier on, before I started this video, I put the slant panel on just for a test, and the bolts went straight on, and it didn't seem like the inner wing was pushed in. So now I'm going to measure it up to just make sure it hasn't been pushed in. So I did the measurements, and I got 125.6 centimeters from this corner to that bolt, the middle of that bolt. And I got 125.4 from this bolt, middle of this bolt, to this gut corner. So that means the inner wing hasn't been pushed in. And I don't know why its shape's different to that side, but that could be due to, it's got this one's got a little hole in there, but this one doesn't. So yeah, that might be just shaped like that. And now that we know the inner wing hasn't been pushed in, which is a great news, I'm gonna go ahead and put the wing on and then move on to the rest of the front end. Now before I get the wings on, I'm first gonna straighten the brackets and adjust them back in place. Once those are sorted, I then go ahead and get the wings installed. First goes on the driver's side, then lastly the passenger side. Right guys, the wings are on, and after some small adjustments, the wings gaps are looking spot on, and also the car is starting to take some shape as well. It's starting to look like CLA again. And to complete the alignment for the wings, I'll have to get the bumper and the bonnet on. So first off, let's get the bonnet on, and then we're going to move on to the front bumper and slant panel and headlights. And now it's time for the bonnet to go on, and I'll need to align this to the wings. You might now know how this works. So first I use the undamaged quarter panel as a reference point, and then align the new rear door to that. And then I use the rear door to align the front door, and so on with the wings and the bonnet. And finally I'll use the bonnet and the wings as a reference point to align the bumper and the headlights. So it is a really long process of just adjusting the panels to get the gaps right. So I've installed the bonnet on, and this was so much harder to align than it compared to the doors. After so much adjustments and alignment, I finally got these gaps right, and now it's finally time for the lights, the bumper and the slant panel to go on. Yep, that's the old headlights control module, and it is completely drenched in water. We know if anything electrical is soaked with water, it is done for. And not only I'll need to buy another one, but I'll need to pay a fortune to get the new module programmed to the car. So with little to no hope, I blow dried the module and installed it to the new headlight, crossing my fingers that it works. Now I'll go ahead and plug the headlight on and bolt it up. And then do the same on the other side. And unlike the driver's side headlight module, this side's module wasn't water damaged. And I'll take that, because one good module is better than no good module. And now goes on the final piece to the puzzle, which is the front bumper. So I slide the bumper in place, tie some bolts at the top and some more bolts at the sides. And after doing all that, the front end is complete. There it is guys, the front end of the CLA has been completed, realigned and now ready for paint job. I still have some work to do on the tailgate, realign that as well. But before we get into that, I'm gonna plug on the headlights, turn the car on and see if the lights work. And also guys, I haven't fitted the grills and everything else on just yet, because when it goes to the body shop, they'll have to get everything off anyways. So once it's been painted and brought back, I'm gonna fit everything on myself, such as the grills, mirrors and any bits and bobs. Yeah, I can already see a big problem on this side guys. The indicator is flashing really quickly, even though the indicator or hazard lights are not on. And if you go on the good side, this is what it's supposed to look like. Just DRLs, no flashing, no indicator. And yeah, I can safely say this side's module has been cooked. So we need to order a new module on this side. But worst of all, the new module will have to be programmed to this light. So yeah, headache. So now that I've got the front end and the side out of the way, I'm going to turn the car around and start working on the rear end and see if I can get the dent out of the tailgate and also realign the tailgate as well. And guys, here is the rear end of the CLA. There's not much damage on the rear end, to be honest. It's just a little dent in there on the tailgate, and the rear tail light needs replacing. The bumper itself has got a few scratches here and there, but there's no dent or there's no damage. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the tail light out and the badges out. Then I'm gonna see if I can get the dent out. So in order to get access to the tail light bolts, I'll need to remove all the inner trims from the tailgate. Then I undo the two 8mm bolts and off comes the light. And lastly, I use fishing lines to remove the left ring. Now that I've taken everything off the tailgate, I'm starting to think it's going to be much easier for me to get the whole tailgate off the car, then get the dent out, rather than me getting the dent out while it's on the car. So yeah, let's get the whole tailgate off and let's do some panel beating. So yeah, I thought why not get the whole thing off and get the dent out more efficiently, because it ain't easy to swing the hammer upwards. Now I continue by removing the left side tail light. I then pull the remaining wiring loom off the tailgate, and lastly I remove the 4 bolts holding the tailgate to the hinges. And off it comes. And now we begin the panel beating. So I use a combination of heat to soften the metal and hammer to get the dent out. And I repeat this process again and again until the dent is fully flat and I'm happy with the shape of the metal. Right guys, I've managed to get the dent out on the underside of the tailgate, and as you can see it's nice and flat now. All the dent has been taken out, and all it needs is a little bit of body filler and just paint job. It's going to be brand new again. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the dent out from the front side. First I'll remove the badge residue so it doesn't get messy when heated, and then I continue by carrying out the same procedure and use heat to soften the metal and push the dent out. And once the dent is out, then I use a hammer and metal dollies as backing to fully flatten the panel. So dollies are just smooth block of cast iron used for backing, so you don't put dents into the metal instead of flattening it. And when I'm finally done with the heating and hammering, I use a sander to sand the burnt paint off, making the area ready for body filler. Alright guys, I'm done with the panel beating and I'm quite happy how it turned out. I've taken all the dents out and it's quite flat now. All it needs now is just a little bit of body filler and it's good to go. So now I'm gonna take this back to the car, install it back on and continue with the alignments. So there it is guys, I just saved myself a couple of £100 by repairing the same tailgate. Besides, even if I did buy another tailgate, it would need a full paint job anyways. Well, while I was trying to align the tailgate, I did a silly mistake by not plugging the lock mechanism wiring on. So when I closed it, it wasn't opening back up. And I thought it must be just locked, so I got the key, tried unlocking it, which of course didn't work, and then the moment of realization hit. I knew I had made a huge mistake, because not only I had locked the tailgate without plugging the wiring on, but the only way to get to the wiring is through the rear seats now. And cherry on top, the rear seats are folded from the boot area, which is completely closed off by the way. But luckily the middle seat did fall down from the outside, so I barely got through and opened the tailgate. And I'm so glad that I had left a small opening that could be opened from the outside. And once the tailgate was opened, I plugged all the wirings back on so I don't make the same mistake again. So I've made some adjustments on the tailgate, and if I show you the gaps, they're perfectly even on both sides, and even at the bottom it's nice and even. But if you look at it from the side here, you can see the tailgate slightly raised from the quarter panel. So I'm going to carry out the same procedure as I did on the rear door. I'm going to loosen the bolts for the tailgate catch. I'm going to hammer it in slightly and tie it back up. And that should hopefully fix our issue here. There it is guys, the gaps are looking good, the car itself is looking good, and now I'm gonna go ahead and complete the tailgate, put everything back together, and lastly replace that broken light before this beauty goes to the body shop and gets repainted. That's right guys, I can't wait to see this car all painted and drive it for the first time. So I continue to put all the tailgate inner trims back on and partially remove the side panel to remove the tail light. And then goes on the new tail light. That's it guys, the car is finally ready to go to the paint shop and get all painted up. So the next time you see this car, it's going to be all in one colour. and it's probably gonna be disassembled. So when we get the car back, I'll be reassembling everything back together, such as the lights, grills, and all bits and bobs. So it's gonna be with the body shop for around a week, but I'll see you guys in probably another second.
1 week later.
Hey guys, welcome back, and let's just welcome this car back as well, because I just got it from the body shop and it is looking better than ever, ignoring the fact that it's missing the headlights and the grills. And that's why we're here. I'll be installing all of the bits and bobs back on the car and complete this beauty once and for all. And I cannot wait to drive this car, because I'm planning to daily this car. As some of you guys may already know, I do own a BMW M4 competition, which we previously repaired. But that car just cannot be daily driven. For one, it drinks fuel. Two, it is on lower, harder, stiffer suspension. And three, this one is ironically the best and the worst thing about this car, which are the carbon bucket seats. Aesthetically, they do look really beautiful, really cool. But let me just show you guys. Because of these bolsters here, it is such a mission all by itself to get in and out of this car. And also, if you want to go on a long journey with this car, well, good luck with that, because sitting on these seats, it feels like you're sitting on a plank of wood. And by the end of the journey, you won't be able to get out of this car. And all that aside, I still think that's one of the best looking cars out there. So anyways, let's get back to the Mercedes and crack on with this, finish it. So first things first, and I remove the front bumper. Then I install everything that goes under it, such as the air ducts, the reinforcement foam with the pedestrian sensors, then the screen washer bottle and refill it. And last but not least, goes on the headlights. Guys, everything at the front end is coming together really nicely, and before I move on to the bumper, I'll need to get the engine under tray on first, because essentially they're all stacked on top of each other. So first the engine tray goes on, then the bumper tray goes on, then finally we can put the bumper on. So I got the car lifted, got the under trays on, and finally moved on to the front bumper. Guys, it's finally time for the grills to go back on the bumper. It is getting exciting now as the car is getting put back together. So I'm installing all the new grills onto the bumper, including the new GTR style main grille. Then I slide on the side grills and inserts. Then goes on the wiring loom and the sensors. And finally, the badges. There it is, guys, the bumper is complete, and now it's time for it to go back on the car, and this time for good, because I do not want to touch this bumper again, because this is not the simplest or easiest to remove and install back. So let's get into it. It is now finally time to slide on the front bumper onto the car once and for all. I then plug on the wiring plug, then fasten some bolts on the right side, some more bolts at the top, and even more bolts on the left side. And we are done with the front bumper, guys. It is aligned, as you can see, the gaps are looking really good, and the car itself is looking sick, especially with that AMG front grille. So now, before I move on to the rear suspension, I do still have some bits that I need to install at the front end, such as the wheel arch liner, the number plate holder, and I do have some canards I want to fit on the front bumper. They are double-sided tape, so I'm just going to stick them on. If they look good, I'm going to leave it. If they don't, then I'm just going to take it back off. And by the way, guys, I have already swapped out the water damage headlight module for the driver's side front. And let me just show you what it does now. So when I unlock the car, I should get flashing orange light, but instead I get flashing main beam, and then instead of the white, like as you see on the passenger side, instead of this white DRLs, we get this light orange or pink DRL. So we most definitely need a reprogramming on that light. We sure do, but we'll leave that for the professionals. And for now, I'll go ahead and install the wheel arch liner and bolt it up. And once that's done, I'll put the wheel back on and drop the car onto the floor. I then move on and stick the front plate holder onto the bumper. So guys, I've fitted the wheel arch liner as well as the front plate holder, and now it's time to stick these canards onto the bumper and see how they look. Right, now the question is whether put this here, there, here, or actually it looks alright here. Let's stick them on there and see how they look. Take this stropper off, and I'm just gonna eyeball this. And there. So this is with canards, and this side is without canards. So let me know in the comment section which side do you think looks better, with canards or without canards. And these are double-sided tape, so I can take them off whenever. And in my opinion, they do match the car, to be honest, because these blacked out trims and the gloss black grille as well. It matches the car. And now let's finish the right side. I'm gonna stick it on here. I think this is where the other side is stuck on. And that should be okay. And now it makes the car look just a tiny bit more aggressive. It looks sick. Guys, I just got these bonnet actuators in post, so let's quickly install these and then we can move on to the rear suspension. So these bonnet actuators are for pedestrian safety purposes, and these go off when a pedestrian gets hit hard enough, which will set off the pedestrian sensor located under the front bumper, which will then activate these to raise the bonnet a couple of inches so the pedestrian don't hit their head onto the engine. And they are pretty easy to change as they are only held by one 10mm nut. And off comes the old one and on goes the new one. Guys, with the actuators on, we have fully completed the front end, and now we can finally move on to the rear suspension. And well, first of all, we need to change this wheel because as you can see it's completely knackered. And second, I'll be needing to swap this control arm because this is what's causing this wheel to have this positive camber. I don't know if you can see in the video, but it's got positive camber. The bottom is being pushed in and the top looks like it's been out. So yeah, let's get that swapped out, and we're gonna swap out the wheel as well. So to get to the control arm, I first need to jack the car up and get the wheel off. Now before I take this off, I am gonna mark the bolts so I know where to tie it back up. I think I should do it. This side doesn't need marking. So this particular nut and bolt used here is a special one, which is used to adjust the toe and the camber of the wheel. And I've marked it up so I can put it back onto the correct adjustment. Right guys, this is the old one that I've taken out of the car, and it is completely knackered. And this is the new one that I'll be putting on. And to install the new control arm, I repeat the process but backwards. There it is guys, with the rear control arm swapped, you can see the wheel is nice and straight. And now to complete the car, I still got to replace this smash reflector, and to match the front canards, I've got these aero kits for the rear bumper. So let's get this fitted and let's go for a drive. Here I stick a bit of masking tape so when I use the flathead to pry out the reflector, I don't actually damage the paint. And once the old one is out, I then just push clip the new one on. And now we get onto the air vents, which in reality doesn't vent anything, but it is just for the looks. So I use masking tape again to protect the paint, and I pry out the old vent covers. Then I position the new vent bracket, screw it in place, and stick the cover on. Guys, I think that looks so sick. Now small touches like that make such a big difference. Now we go and do the same thing on this side. I now repeat the same process on the passenger side. There it is, guys. We have done it once again, and we turned it from this into this beautiful thing. So I did everything on this car, from mechanical, panel beating to alignment, and the only thing I didn't do was the paint job. And on the next project, hopefully I'll do everything, including paint job as well. So on this car, every single panel has been painted, including the bonnet, the doors, quad panel, bumper, everything. And the only thing that's actually not painted is the roof. So that means we could have changed the color. We could have changed it into yellow, black, red, whatever we wanted. But I didn't do that because you can't tell me this white doesn't go really good with the gloss black accents. And that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this rebuild, and stay tuned because we have another project car coming to the channel. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.